Hi everyone, Eric Science here. I am currently writing a comic called General Washington Victory or Death, and I'm here to go over another very fascinating part of one of the books I'm using as reference, which is Joseph Plumb-Martin's A Narrative of a Revolutionary Soldier, and that is the women in it. It is very eye-opening. It's one of the most memorable parts of the book, other than the fact that they're starving and ill-clothed and the all the horrors of war. There's three main interactions he has with women that I really want to highlight, and one of them he even says that he takes a break during narrating this combat at the Battle of Monmouth Courthouse to say, hey, this happened, it's really important. I want to start off with saying that women used to follow around armies, and both the armies, the British and the Americans, had a large contingent of women with them. They would be wives of officers, they would be wives of common soldiers. They would they would perform duties like nurses. They would cook, they would clean clothes, etc. And they would have gone through all the hardships and real dangers of the soldiers as well. I mean, imagine being a soldier on the line and knowing that if the army's totally in capture, basically your wife's back there too, and you already know what's gonna happen to her if enemy soldiers capture her. So just think of the toughness just of women to go along in that aspect. So our first story happens. Joseph Plumb-Martin and two other soldiers are walking towards a town, and a nicely dressed woman comes by, and one of the soldiers remarks, how far away is it to this town so that we may take the virginity of all of the women there? Just kind of like a joke, haha. I'm so sexually attractive or whatever. And she basically retorts, well, if there's any virgins there, they're in no danger of losing their virginity to you. And this is all paraphrased, of course, but it's not how we're really taught to expect these women to react. So much of the common modern conception is that, well, they're really dainty, they're timid, they kind of just stay home and sew while the men go off and do whatever. They never talk back, all this stuff, and that's not at all what happened, apparently. The second really interesting story is when the soldiers are in Pennsylvania and they're requisitioning supplies, which is basically the army used to just go steal whatever wasn't nailed down. They would take animals, they would take food, they would take tools, whatever they could get, whatever they needed, they just took, and then some alcohol. They took alcohol like crazy, and they didn't care if you supported the revolution. They were going to take everything. And during retreats, if the British were on their tails, they would be burning crops, they would be burning down barns. They tried to well, it's debatable whether they tried to burn New York down or not. But New York did light up, and a lot of it went. Washington definitely wanted it burned. He wanted to burn Boston to the ground, and Congress wouldn't let him. So during one of these raids where they're getting whatever they need for the army, in this Pennsylvania town, the women aren't really having it. Now they're supportive of the cause. They're giving food, they're letting them take tools and stuff, but they're not allowing them to take the horses. And they really need the horses. That's an important part of an army during this time. And Joseph Plumb-Martin talks about how he's cocking pistols to women's faces and saying, I'll kill you if you get out of the way. And other soldiers are putting bayonets, saying, I'm going to run you through, I'll kill you right now. And the women basically just laugh back in their faces and say, oh yeah, go ahead and do it, things like that. And then after he none of them did it, and then after he talks about them laughing in their faces and saying, why didn't you, I thought you were going to kill me, what happened? And then they just take their horses back, because horses are not just a thing that people bonded to back in the day, but they were very important also for farms, and they were very expensive. So if you lost something like that, it could, it might mean that you starve. You might not even be able to plow your crops and stuff. And then the third one comes during the Battle of Monmouth Courthouse, and this is sort of where the story of Molly Pitcher comes from, but most people don't really think there was a Molly Pitcher exactly the way it was described. i.e., this soldier who is married to a woman gets killed, and then she picks up the equipment and starts reloading the cannon to shoot for him in his stead. But he describes something pretty similar. Basically, he describes a husband and wife team who are already just shooting a cannon. I mean, this woman's just there. The husband isn't dead or anything, and she's part of the artillery team, and they're shooting the cannon. And then he says that a cannonball just goes right between her legs and rips her skirt, and that she looks up and said, "Well, I'm lucky that didn't go higher. It might have taken away something I wanted." Isn't that really not how you would expect women to be behaving during this time period? It's so interesting to me that he's putting these things in the book in a time that we definitely considered male dominated. He's not remarking that, oh, I wish this didn't happen. I wish women weren't there, and da da da. Nothing like that is in this book. So there you go, guys. All those things are going to be featured in the comic eventually. Probably not in this first issue, because they all happen in the year 1777 and after. But the link for the Indiegogo campaign is below. Please, if you have any questions or comments about the comic, go ahead and let me know here or at Redtail Comics. Thank you very much. Bye.